Trapmore gang, I recently released my video, The Embarrassing Collapse of Joe Budden's podcast over on the main channel. We're currently sitting at 458,000 views on a piece of content that's a goddamn 1 hour and 39 minutes long. That is absolutely insane, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who took the time out to watch that piece of content. It took me a long ass time to get through all of the hours of Joe Budden podcast to make that a thing. Shout out you guys for watching, making it special, making it happen, getting it moving, all that good stuff. I did have a little bit of a guilty feeling that maybe, just maybe, I had gone a little bit too hard on our pal Rory. And I gotta say, I noticed a lot of you guys in the comments felt the same way. So I just want to read a few of those comments and kind of address how I feel about the situation. And maybe just a tone for going a little bit too hard on the boy Rory. You can tell TLR is an academics fan. It looks up to Ac, and this reporting was more than a little leaning in his favour. I respectfully feel like this is a fandom vid. It's actually annoying. Some of the clips about academics were really unnecessary. But to be fair, there's people defending academics too. This guy's saying, Ac put those two stooges to sleep. They haven't mentioned his name since. Nobody cares about the albino and mealy Marl. We held a 4-hour funeral to lay those two bums to rest, smoking on Black and Marls and Rory packs. Ain't nobody checking for them anymore. They're done, so you know we got the chat boys up in here as well. Why all of the Rory slander? Rory brought tons of content to the show. When Joe's screaming became too much, I was tuning in for Rory's toxic takes, and for Marl to say, that's crazy. Marl and Rory's fandom was severely underrated because it was ultimately why so many people left the Joe Budden podcast to watch new Rory and Marl. Not feeling your take on Rory and Marl, I think Joe snaked them big time and their new podcast is getting numbers. I'm team Marl and Rory after this whole thing. Joe always screamed about the creators getting paid and getting what their worth is, but when it came to his own friends and partners, he forgot that. Joe is foul. Now this is the one that really gets at me, and this is kind of what I want to address. Yeah. I see you couldn't bother actually doing research on Rory and Marl, even though you seemingly did such extensive research on almost everything else. Upside down smiley face. The podcast was originally uploaded using Rory's email to SoundCloud. Rory was also there in the background in the beginning doing engineering, but he never spoke about it since he wasn't a host. So how was he not there from day one? Not to mention, Rory manages Emotional Oranges, Do Say Palooza, etc. So how is he not producing anything on his own? Marl had a podcast way before Joe where Ish and Ice coincidentally were either co-host or guests for several episodes. Joe said podcasts was stupid, then went on to create the Joe Budden podcast sometime later. You really think Jay-Z hangs around and lets stooges participate in events where he's involved? I just want to make a few things clear. One, I did go kind of hard on Rory and Marl, specifically Rory, in this episode. And look, I'll be honest, I'll just put my cards on the table, I'll wear my heart on the sleeve. Part of the reason for that is, yes, I did watch a lot of academics' streams, spinning the block on Rory and Marl, and to a certain degree, you could perhaps say that watching all of that academics content maybe made me a little bit biased against Rory, and perhaps that did come through in the video. But in my defense, I personally thought that it was really whack of Rory to say that he thought that he was wittier or more talented than Andrew Schultz, somebody that I'm both a big fan of and somebody that I actually admire for being a genuinely talented comedic performer who has achieved a lot in his career through genuine hard work. And seeing somebody like Rory shit on that just kind of triggered me a little bit. I'll be honest, I'm a big Schultzy fan, I'm a big comedy fan, and I thought that was pretty whack. But again, at the same time, part of the reason I went so hard on Rory specifically was because I did genuinely feel like it was kind of dumb of him, and Marl to a certain degree, to let Joe Budden just get away with so much through the course of this whole journey. I mean, when they let Joe change the name of the podcast from I'll Name This Podcast Later to the Joe Budden Podcast, that really should have set alarm bells ringing for Rory. And I think that especially when you look at sort of the late stages of the podcast, after the second Spotify deal got turned down, the way that Rory was kind of beginning to behave a bit toxic, he was shitting on Joe, he was talking down on Joe, sort of saying little snipey comments to Joe, which ultimately ended in that confrontation where Joe offered to take Rory outside and put him down. I just thought that was a real bad way to deal with the situation. I mean, he probably should have just left the podcast way before when he realized that he wasn't going to get what he thought he deserved. That said, in all fairness, I just want to say, Rory is a very entertaining character. He speaks well on the podcast. I think that he is one of the better, kind of more laid-back personas in this hip-hop thing. You know, Academics, he's outrageous. He's swigging Henny, he's shouting, he's yelling. I find him really entertaining, to be honest. And Rory is almost like the complete polar opposite. He has good conversations with people. Hell, I would probably have a good conversation with him. Maybe he hates me now, I don't really know. Whereas when it comes to Academics, Academics is a firecracker. I would honestly be pretty scared to have a live debate with Academics. I can just tell that he has a powerful personality. He would be happy to just yell over you if you said some shit that he didn't agree with. And it's probably for that reason that he is so entertaining when he is just sat on his own, drinking Henny, yelling at the camera on a stream on his own. Now, just going back to this comment, I do want to say, I want to give Rory his props for managing the emotional oranges. I actually didn't really know shit about this until the other day. But look, Rory's on his management shit. He's on his DJ Khaled. He's on his Diddy shit. I mean, I listened to a couple of songs. It's not my kind of thing, but I gotta respect it. The work that Rory did at Do Say Palooza, I wasn't even gonna mention it. But you know what? If an event I was hosting was marred in controversy and the host was being fired after multiple accusations of sexual misconduct, I personally wouldn't want to rant and rave and shout about it either. And I don't drink, so I don't really care what Do Say Palooza's got going on. Probably not fair to side with Academics, calling them untalented stooges. And I don't think that they're untalented stooges. Let me just get that clear. I think Rory and Mal are very talented. They've got their own thing going on. They've built an incredible brand, and now their podcast is flourishing as a result. So I gotta be hats off to them, tip my hat to them, respect them for that. But at the same time, look, I couldn't leave out Academics clowning them, because to me, that was a big part of the story. You can't just overlook the fact that Academics played a big role in this breakup. And hell, the streams were so funny. I just had to put them in there. I was watching hours of Academics content talking about spinning the block on Rory and Millie Mal. Rory versus Academics. This is like the Tupac versus Biggie of the new digital hip-hop media age. Also, I just want to say that I don't really respect these points about the podcast being originally uploaded using Rory's email to SoundCloud, and also like what Rory was also there in the background of the beginning, what Rory never spoke up on this. Like, just because the shit was uploaded to SoundCloud using his email address, I ain't really got nothing to do with it. He wasn't on the show as an official host. The podcast was never named after him. He wasn't calling the shots when it came to rename the podcast the Joe Budden podcast. It doesn't matter whose email it was used. Look, was Joe wrong to kind of snake Rory and Mal for how involved they were in the podcast in the early stages? Yes. But was Rory and Mal wrong to have, you know, seemingly done so much? Hell, if Rory was putting his amazing SoundCloud email address, like Joe Budden couldn't have just signed up to SoundCloud himself in the early days. I mean, how much credit do you want for providing an email address? I'll set you up a Gmail right now. You know, does that mean I own someone's podcast? No.
You've got mail.
And yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm a bit of a chat boy. Maybe I was a little biased to DJ Academics, because look, that's somebody I look up to. Academics is a GOAT. Rory and Mal, they probably should have put a bit more respect on Academics' name throughout this beef. I mean, Rory shouldn't have gone round Academics' house and posted the letter through his mailbox, because you kicked a hornet's nest with that one. Academics does not let shit go. Academics is a GOAT, and he actually does deserve his respect. I know that he is a little bit outrageous, he is incredibly disrespectful, and a lot of people, rappers or media figures, they don't respect Academics, but look, he deserves your respect. And that's coming from me as a fan. That's coming from me as somebody that's in the game. All the Rory and Mal fanboys, please don't hate on me. I don't hate Rory and Mal. You guys got finessed. You guys played yourselves a little bit. Is what it is. Is what it is. Look, let's move on from this. I don't want to have a beef with anyone. I do actually love and respect everyone. I want to wish the utmost success to Rory and Mal with their new ventures. Their new podcast is extremely good. They're doing their thing. They're doing it successfully. So look, I just wish more success to everybody involved. And for the love of God, please, can just Rory and Mal just sit down and do an interview with Academics? Just do it. Please, do it. Everyone will watch. You'll get millions of views. We just get it all out on the table. It'll be hilarious. You guys will probably be able to move forward with some kind of closure. And I know that Academics is going on a press run at the moment. He's going on Flagrant 2. He's hopefully going on No Jumper. Shit, man. I hope he sits down with Vlad. Hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you enjoyed that explanation. What did you guys think? Did I go too hard on Rory? Let me know down in the comments below. Appreciate all of the patrons for supporting this channel, whose names you can see on this side of the screen. And you guys are some legends. Is what it is. Bye.